And that is a great segue into our next piece of news, which is about Bayley. We've spoken about TikTok, we've done all of that. Let's talk about Bayley. It's only a couple of hours ago now that the WWE formally announced that Bayley is injured. They did not clarify what the injury was, but they did state that she is expected to be out for around 9 months. There is quite a bit of information to give on this. Bayley, who would have been challenging Bianca Belair in an I Quit match this month at Money in the Bank, has been announced by the WWE as being out of action for 9 months due to an injury that she sustained in training. Yes, Matt, right before fans come back. A really unfortunate time considering how close she was and how hard she's worked as much as anyone to get to the point she's at now, where she deserves to get in front of those fans. This is a very recent injury, and by saying that I mean today or yesterday. It is possible that it was yesterday and she was assessed today. That is what I've been told, but it isn't necessarily the case. I've got sporadic information here. It's believed that it happened while rehearsing with her fellow superstars. She was doing rehearsals over the last few days for a number of different spots for the I Quit match. I'm not sure if it's related to that. It was a freak accident. I've literally been told the phrase freak accident. We spoke about this earlier in Discord. And considering over in Europe it's the European Football Championships, it's genuinely considered to be a footballer's injury. She has a torn anterior cruciate ligament. Literally torn to a point where it's very possibly off the bone. Very possibly off the bone. It's bad. It is bad, and she will need a lot of time off to heal up. 9 months, as the WWE have announced, is a very rough estimate. And it's essentially the WWE's way of saying, we're just not going to plan anything for Bayley until after WrestleMania, regardless of when she returns from injury. There is a number of different people that they have done this exact thing with, a number of different people, and it really does help secure them and protect them by not saying they'll be back here or they'll be back here, because they don't know what the landscape's going to be at that time. They don't know what the storylines are going to be. They're probably not even going to draft Bayley to leave their options open. Just to leave that option open. She was assessed today. The decision was made to pull her. Now, I see everyone asking the question. The WWE have promised to announce a replacement for Bianca Belair to face at Money in the Bank. The match will not be written off. Bianca Belair will be wrestling someone. There is a number of people currently on the list based on 1, availability, 2, storyline, and 3, chemistry. They're looking at people who haven't already been announced for the Money in the Bank, although there is one name on this list who has already been announced, which means that it is certainly possible that Liv Morgan could be one of them. The name at the top of the list at the moment is apparently Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is the name on top of the list because they can literally say to her, can you come back a week early, have one extra feud with Bianca Belair, have a match that goes to an inconclusive finish at Money in the Bank, which in this situation I wouldn't blame them for, and then just keep going into SummerSlam and win the championship there, as was originally intended. Sasha is the one that is at the top of the list, but there are other names. Zelina Vega has a lot of fans who are suggesting that she could be kicked out of the Money in the Bank match to put her in the match with Bianca Belair because they want it to be a heel. Sasha Banks is obviously the first choice as a heel. Other than that, everyone you've got as a heel is already in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Carmella's already there. Zelina Vega's already there. That leaves only Sasha Banks, who is not yet back. But it also leaves the possibility of Sonya Deville. That's a possibility. She does have people in WWE right now who are encouraging her to come back to full-time action. But at the moment, to my knowledge, she's not quite there yet. Basically, every woman in the company has already been mentioned, but Sasha Banks is at the top of the list. Bianca Belair will not be getting the night off. The I Quit stipulation, however, is likely to be abandoned entirely. Whoever Belair faces, the feud will be brand new and have no heat behind it for an I Quit, with the exception of Sasha Banks. If the match is Sasha Banks, the WWE know that they're going to be having another match at SummerSlam, so they don't want an I Quit stipulation now, only to go into a quote-unquote standard wrestling match at SummerSlam. Matt has suggested that WWE should put Bayley on commentary. Chelsea disagrees, saying Bayley wouldn't be good on commentary, but maybe as a one-off. I think Bayley could be good on commentary, just not this current character. just not this current incarnation of the character. She'd have to tone herself down significantly, especially when you consider that Pat McAfee is already the heelish commentator. So question marks there. Matt suggests that the replacement will be Sasha. She is at the top of the list. Moxie is asking, will it be an I Quit match? It will not. And Chelsea says Sasha got to get the bag to come back a week early. She's got to get ready, get packed up and get going. And Michael says, I think it would be good for someone to get a one-off match and save Sasha. I agree there. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like it to happen. Michael also says, I don't really want a non-finish with Sasha. I would love Liv. I think Liv Morgan is a good shout. I just don't think they're going to go that way, because then it's face versus face. And whoever loses in face versus face doesn't really get much elevation. Bayley says, who gets added to the Smackdown roster? No more than 6 or 7 left. I don't know what you mean by who gets added to the Smackdown roster. At the moment, there are people on SmackDown already who can potentially compete. Sean says it would be so sweet if Sonya won the title from Bianca and Liv Morgan cashed in on her after she won the briefcase. That'd be bad. That'd be bad for Sonya Deville. That would basically kill any momentum of her return, and wouldn't even be that great for Liv. I think they could do a bit better there, personally. Ricky says, I'd go with Carmella. Such a shame for Bayley, though. I completely agree when it comes to Bayley. This came at a horrible time. She was just about to move brands. She was just about to get a new lease of life. And now here we are. Megan, welcome to the show. Says, finally debut Mia Yim. Certainly possible. It would be, like I say, no heat whatsoever in the actual feud. But it would be one of those. They could certainly do it. And Megan, as you're here, I unfortunately have to give you some bad news. I'm going to have to take away your VIP because we do have a new 24/7 champion. And it's Eleanor Line. Two-time. Matt says, also I think Liv is going to be in the Money in the Bank match. If Sasha's not going to be in the Money in the Bank match, I feel certain that Liv Morgan will be, because they still got to fill that gap. Eleanor says, unlikely, but Natalya or Tamina. It is unlikely, but not impossible. As I say, almost everyone has been mentioned. Almost everyone has been mentioned so far. Natalya would be an easy choice. Tamina, very, very unlikely. Natalya is a maybe because of her experience there.